Hi everyone, welcome back to JP WHU TV. It's nice to see you. I hope you're keeping well and it's great to be back amongst you once again. The purpose of today's video is we're going to be expanding an addendum to the podcast that was done on Monday over on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Deezer, Audible, you name it. Go search JP WHU Radio, where I asked the question: is there a future long-term plan for West Ham United, or a future West Ham United long-term plan? Something along those lines, anyway. So as we know, Max Hann has resigned as, chief scout. And of course, there's talk that Paco was going to leave, but he's stayed. And of course, as we know, Nuno has stayed on as well, for that matter. I did also do a podcast the day after the last game of the season called East London is Mourning, to express my opinions on the fact that we got relegated. Guys, we've been calling it for a good couple of seasons on this channel. We really have, and it has ended up. But that's the point. That's the whole point of this video, as an extension of the podcast. The unedited versions over on Patreon. So if you want to support the channel, click the link in the description below. It's only £3 plus VAT a month. You spend more on a pint, guys, seriously. But yeah, so basically on that second half of that Patreon only podcast, I went into talking about players, not necessarily the players themselves, but again, the players with the attributes that we need to get us out of the Championship. Now, getting ourselves out of the Championship isn't going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination for the next couple of seasons, bearing in mind going into the end of what is now last season, the 25-26 season, we were close to a third of £1 billion in debt. So it was 312 something million. It was ridiculous. 103.8 loss going into what is now last season. Guys, it's stupid. It really, really is. And again, that all needs to be sorted out because basically the club needs to do three things, right? It needs to have a short-term plan, a medium-term plan, and a long-term plan. Short-term plan, of course, is getting us out of the Championship as soon as possible. Not going to happen. Not going to happen with that debt and £150 million worth of players allegedly supposed to be sold in order to do that. In the Premier League, you can do that, no problem. Absolutely no problem. Championship, not so much. Bargain bucket prices, guys. Unfortunately, like for example, Mateus Fernandes has got an £80 million price tag on it. Not happening in the Championship. Premier League, yes. Two relegations on his CVs and 2 consecutive seasons. Not going to be easy. He's a quality player. Don't get me wrong. He should have got Ham of the Year as far as I'm concerned, but he didn't and quite rightly so. Mavropanos had a fantastic resurgence in the second half of the season, but overall, Fernandes was the most reliable and consistent. That's the word I'm thinking of. It was the most consistent over that season. But anyway, so basically, they asked the question: is there a long-term plan for West Ham United from the board level? Now, of course, there is. From an investment point of view, of course, there is, because they want to make as much money as quickly as they possibly can. But the only way to do that is get us back to the Premier League. So that's the short-term plan. The medium-term plan is making sure that we have players that can progress through the ranks, as we like to do, the Academy of Football. And also, for that matter, in my personal opinion, is also bringing back the West Ham way. So those, if any of you pundits are watching and you don't understand what the West Ham way is, bearing in mind it's been explained to you for close to 70 years, let's reiterate it one more time. Okay? Playing the West Ham way is very, very similar to the style that Arsenal used to play under Wenger, that Man City used to play under Pep Guardiola. Defending, out from the back, beautiful, not beautiful because you can't do it nowadays, but entertaining transitions from defence to midfield and the midfield to attack, and then scoring a undercut of a goal. Dean Ashton away at Man United, for example. That's part of the West Ham way. And apologies for the light flickering, guys. I'm using natural light at the moment because apologies for the overexposure on some of the video, but it's gonna amend itself once the cloud goes back in as well. But anyway, so that's what we're talking about. That is the West Ham way. Nice, free flowing, not necessarily beautiful or elegant, just entertaining to watch. Free flowing football. That's it. It's not that difficult. Granted, we haven't done that for decades, and I mean that. I can't think of the last time I sat there and watched a game and thought, That's the West Ham way. You know, not since Redknapp days, really. You can argue a little bit maybe under Pardew here and there, but not since Kirbishley, not since Pardew. Not since Avron Grant, not since a couple of times maybe under Gianfranco Zola, but nothing really before. You know, as I say, sometimes under Harry Redknapp, but few and far between after that. You know, but anyway, so as I say, so that should be the medium-term plan, to make sure that the youth academy is good enough, and the championship will be a perfect example to see if those guys are ready for it. Now, everybody's been piling on saying this player's ready, this player's ready. I myself, as you guys know, I've been backing up Josh Ajaya for a good few seasons now. I think he's more than capable of stepping up to the first team. Didn't think he was last season, but if his trajectory has followed the way that it has previously, I reckon he would be ready now. I really, really do. So there is that, and then obviously on course on top of that, we're looking at the long-term plan, which is obviously sustainability, getting the club not making a profit every season, but not making huge losses either, for that matter, as we've been currently doing under this ownership. You know, steady progression, get us out of the championship, back to the Premier League, and slowly but surely make sure there's a plan good enough. I'm not saying spend huge amounts of money. We've been doing that and it's not worked. Money doesn't cause all problems. We need to get out of this mindset that David Sullivan's been in for decades. And even not just David Sullivan, it was the same under the Icelandics. It was the same in the Terence Brown era. It's not throw money at the problem. We need to get rid of that capitalist society attitude. Find the root cause, figure out exactly how to sort that out, identify the right players for the right positions at the right price, not overpaying. Like Pablo, for example, cost the team that we bought him from €250,000 and we spent it at 25 million on him. That's stupid. That's throwing money away. That's probably what's going to get us into financial shit next season. Well, this coming season, I should say, after the World Cup. No, just don't. Just savvy. Not throw money to make sure you get him. Negotiate. He's supposed to be a businessman, for fuck's sake. Just negotiate, not throw wads of money that we don't have. You know, David Sullivan made a career right from the start of saying when he took over at West Ham along with David Gold, criticising the Icelandics for borrowing money on 3 seasons down the line in terms of season ticket money. What's he hedging against now? He's probably doing exactly the same and getting that loan from that dubious company that Everton have used over the years as well. You know, that's why I haven't mentioned it in the accounts, because it's just too many deep problems in there. But guys, as I say, that's the real question. Is there genuinely a long-term plan? Can we see it? No, we can't. Not at the moment. Will we see it in a few months after the World Cup? I mean, obviously the World Cup is going to make things difficult to get players in. Because obviously, you know, you can't really negotiate in between matches, especially bearing in mind it's on the completely other side, pretty much the other side of the world. You know, there's going to be East Coast of America games, some up in Canada, some down in Mexico, West Coast as well, for that matter. You know, but it is going to make it very, very difficult for a lot of players to come in very as quickly as we want. I don't care what anybody says. I'll be very surprised if we get any players in the next few weeks. I'll be very, very surprised. Bearing in mind, there's only a few days, was it a week or so, before the World Cup actually starts. So don't hold your breath here, guys, because a lot of you are going to be going to A&E if you do. So yeah, as I say, guys, I'll keep you posted from what I'm seeing. There is a lot to be worried about, a hell of a lot to be worried about. As I say, I do personally think, and let me know in the comments if you don't agree with me, and it's fine if you do, and you do agree with me, it's fine if you don't. But I do think we're going to be down in the Championship for at least a minimum of 2 to 3 seasons. I really do. It's just my instinct, because unfortunately the accounts are going to govern everything, absolutely govern everything, unless we sell like £200 million worth of players. We're down in the Championship for at least a season. At least, I'd say 2 to 3 is around about the time we should be pushing for the playoffs, and should be capable of pushing for the playoffs, stroke winning the league. But as I say, I'm not a prophet in any shape or form. It's just my personal opinion. I've been saying that we would be getting relegated for the last couple of seasons. We got away with it season before last and the season before last as well. Third time unlucky, unfortunately. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Put your comments in the comment section below as well, for that matter. Let me know what you're thinking on this, guys. But in the meantime, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you very, very soon. All the best now. And of course, please do subscribe to JP WHU Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, because there'll be stuff going up there as well. And to hear the unedited versions of it in full, become a Patreon. Thanks for your time. See you soon. Enjoy the relatively unpredictable weather while we can, before it permanently turns an absolute shit show of rain. And I'll see you very, very soon. All the best now. Take care.